Hello students, I'm JV Neil Mittal and your topic for today is origin of public interest litigation. So, the public interest litigation is the product of realization of the constitutional obligation of the court. According to our opinion, the public interest litigation is an extremely important jurisdiction exercised by the Supreme Court and the High Courts. The courts, in a number of cases, have given important directions and passed orders which have brought positive changes in the country. The court's directions have immensely benefited marginalized sections of the society in a number of cases. It has also helped in protection and preservation of ecology, environment, forest, marine life, wildlife, etc. The court's directions, to some extent, have helped in maintaining probity and transparency in the public life. The court, while exercising its jurisdiction of judicial review, realized that a very large section of the society, because of extreme poverty, ignorance, discrimination, and illiteracy, had been denied justice for time immemorial, and in fact, they have no access to justice. Predominantly, to provide access to justice to the poor, deprived, vulnerable, discriminated, and marginalized sections of the society, this court has initiated, encouraged, and propelled the public interest litigation. The litigation is upshot and product of this court deep and intense urge to fulfill its bounded duty and constitutional obligation. The High Courts followed this court and exercised similar jurisdiction under Article 226 of the Constitution. The courts expanded the meaning of the right of life and liberty guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. The rule of locus standi was diluted and the traditional meaning of aggravated person was broadened to provide access to justice to a very large section of the society which was otherwise not getting any benefit from the judicial system. The court in Akhil Bharatiya Shushit Karamchari Sangh versus Union of India held that a current processual jurisprudence is not of individualistic Anglo-Indian mold. It is broad-based and people-oriented and envisions access to justice through class actions, public interest litigation, and representative proceedings. Indeed, little Indians in large numbers seeking remedies in courts through collective proceedings instead of being driven and to an inexpensive plurality of litigations is an affirmation of participative justice in our democracy. The evolution of the public interest litigation in India, the origin and the evolution of the public interest litigation in India emanated from the realization of constitutional obligations by the judiciary towards the vast sections of the society, the poor and the marginalized sections of the society. This jurisdiction has been created and carved out by the judicial creativity and craftsmanship. In MC Mehta and others versus Union of India and others, the court observed that Article 32 does not merely confer power on this court to issue direction, order, or writ for the enforcement of fundamental rights. Instead, it also lays a constitutional obligation on this court to protect the fundamental rights of the people. The court asserted that in realization of this constitutional obligation, it has all incidental and auxiliary powers, including the power to forge new remedies and fashion new strategies designed to enforce the fundamental right. The court realized that because of extreme poverty, a large number of sections of society cannot approach the court. The fundamental rights have no meaning for them, and in order to preserve and protect the fundamental rights of the marginalized section of the society by judicial innovation, the courts, by judicial innovation and creativity, started giving necessary directions and passing orders in the public interest. So the development of public interest litigation has been extremely significant development in the history of the Indian jurisprudence. The decisions of the Supreme Court in the 1970s loosened the strict locus standi requirements to permit fillings of the petition on behalf of the marginalized and deprived sections of the society by public spirit individual institutions or bodies. The higher court exercised wide powers given to them under Article 32 and 226 of the Constitution. The sort of remedies sought from the courts in the public interest litigation goes beyond award of remedies to the affected individuals and groups. In suitable cases, the court have also given guidelines and directions. The court have monitored implementation of the legislation and even formulated guidelines in absence of legislation. If the cases of the decades of 70s and 80s are analyzed, most of the public interest litigation cases which were entertained by the courts are pertaining to enforcement of fundamental rights of marginalized and deprived sections of the society. This can be termed as the first phase of the public interest litigation in India. The Indian Supreme Court broadened the traditional rule of standing and definition of the person aggrieved. In phase one, it deals with the cases of this court where directions and orders were passed primarily to protect fundamental rights under Article 21 of the marginalized group and sections of the society who, because of extreme poverty, illiteracy, and ignorance, cannot approach this court or high courts. In phase two, it deals with the cases relating to protection, preservation of ecology, environment, forest, marine life, wildlife, mountains, rivers, historical monuments, etc. In phase 3, it dealt with the directions issued by the courts in maintaining the probity, transparency, and integrity in governance. Thereafter, it also proposes to deal with aspects of abuse of public interest litigation and remedial measures by which its misuse can be prevented or curbed. That's all. Thank you so much.